Hey there, Robin.
Hi, Steph.
So lately, I've been feeling like this conversation has been coming for a while. Like, there's this deeper layer we've been circling around. And today we finally get to name it. Not heavier, not lighter, just truer. Like, we've traveled through so many layers of collapse and exhaustion, and now we're standing at a threshold where something real wants to be spoken.
And this episode stands out from all the others, not because it's our last episode of this series. It's really just about noticing what the nervous system is doing. It's about what the soul does when everything else kind of burns down. I think that hope then shows up differently in that moment.
I would agree. Certainly not as the glossy, inspirational thing people talk about and post about, but as, I don't know, something a little gritty, a little weathered, something earned.
Oh, I like that. Exactly. Radical hope is the kind you meet after you've lost the version of yourself who thought everything had to make sense. It's quieter, more honest, and it comes from a deeper place than positivity ever could. Let's take a moment to arrive. Wherever you are, in your car, your kitchen, on a walk, notice the way the air touches your skin, the temperature, the small details you usually pass by. No need to feel calm or regulate, just notice. If you can, soften your exhale a touch. Let your shoulders drop a little and know that that's good enough.
Remember, if hope feels far away right now, that's okay. This isn't an episode asking you to believe. It's simply creating a little space for something new to enter. When people hear the word hope, they often assume it means feeling optimistic. At least that's my perspective. Like thinking positively, believing things will turn out fine. But radical hope, it isn't tidy like that. It rarely looks like the clean, upward moving optimism we're taught to expect. Sometimes it shows up while you're washing dishes, or sitting in traffic, or realizing you don't feel as heavy as you did yesterday. It's not a mindset, it's a posture, a way your spirit leans when your mind is still unsure. Sometimes it shows up in the smallest, strangest places. First as a physical shift, the urge to open a window, to breathe different air. Then as a relational spark, the thought that you might text someone back. And sometimes as an emotional flicker, the way your body softens when a memory catches you off guard.
Right? And hope isn't a mood, it's a capacity, a biological, relational, spiritual capacity. After people have been through trauma or deep burnout, hope doesn't return as motivation. It returns as a texture, as tone, as the sense that something in you hasn't given up, like sensory shifts, noticing you want to hear a certain song again, wanting to sit in the sun for a moment, and some body-based cues, realizing you're actually hungry today. Inner orientation, imagining a future of yourself that feels steadier. Those are those sparks that rebuild a life.
I love that. Also, can I say something a little messy here?
Always.
Yay. Sometimes, just saying, I don't trust those sparks when they show up. I get a little suspicious, like, oh
Mhm.
no, don't get your hopes up. We're not doing that again. It's like my system tries to protect me from disappointment by shutting the door too early, right? I abandon before I can be abandoned.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So many people do that. Hope feels dangerous when hope was that hurt before. The body remembers the cost of believing something could get better.
Yes, exactly. And yet, those tiny shifts still happen. Even when part of me resists them, something always quieter inside goes, wait, I want this. A softer life, a bigger breath, a little bit of good.
That's the thing. Radical hope isn't loud. It negotiates with your fear. It says, you don't have to trust me fully, just enough to take one step. And sometimes one step is all your system can tolerate.
And remember, that's still movement. And you've said this so beautifully before. The lowest point is often the doorway to the highest self. Not because suffering is noble, really, but because when everything unnecessary falls away, people can sometimes hear their truth more clearly.
Yeah, collapse takes away distraction. Shutdown silences the noise. And in that silence, something honest shows up, a sense of, I can't live disconnected from myself anymore. And that's the beginning of that radical hope.
Here's our nervous system nugget for today. Contraction precedes expansion. Joy grows from meaning, not escape.
Nature models this beautifully. Nothing expands endlessly. Nothing stays big without first pulling inward. And humans were no different. Contraction isn't failure, it's a reset, a gathering in, a way your system says, I'm reorganizing so I can move again.
When expansion returns, it rarely feels triumphant. It feels tentative, fragile, in fact, maybe almost shy. This is why post trauma joy can feel extremely risky.
Yeah, joy has edges. The kind you feel when something good touches a part of you that still feels tender, almost like the body isn't sure whether to lean in or brace. So it asks something of you. It asks you to be present and open, two things trauma teaches you to avoid.
So profound. Joy isn't passive, it takes capacity to hold good things. That's why I think it's hard for people that are really good at caregiving can't receive care. People assume joy should be automatic, but sometimes joy is the stretch, the expansion we've been talking about. Joy asks you to open your chest again, to let your guard loosen, to let yourself be moved.
And when joy grows from meaning, from what actually matters, it becomes rooted. It doesn't evaporate when life gets loud. It becomes part of the deeper structure inside you. Connection to self, to others, to what feels sacred, and to something larger.
Today's tool is one we both love. Create to cope. But let's make it real. This isn't about being artistic. It's about giving your nervous system somewhere to put what it's been holding.
Think of it like pressure release, not fixing, not producing, just letting something inside you move. And creation doesn't have to be deep or symbolic. It can simply be something that gives your system a place to move or settle. scribbling shapes until your hand softens, tearing paper and tossing it away, arranging your space so it feels a little more like you, whispering a thought, maybe even a thought that you're not ready to write down, taking a slow lap around your yard or block, choosing a stone or object that feels grounding. And none of this is about expression for others. It's one of the ways the nervous system finds relief through movement, through shaping something outside the body, so what's inside has somewhere to go. It's expression for your nervous system.
Yeah, some of the most regulating things I do are maybe not someone else's go-to. Of course, if you know me, I'm usually singing at top volume in my kitchen, or maybe even rearranging the same 3 objects on my desk in my office because it settles something inside me.
Same, but I probably sound really horrible when I sing. And my system really doesn't care if it looks polished, and that's taken me a little while. It cares if it creates movement.
Yeah, exactly.
It cares if something inside me feels even slightly more coherent afterward, like even laughing with you.
Isn't
The
that the
best.
best?
Yes.
Well, because creativity reintroduces agency, not the overwhelming kind, but the micro kind. I can shape this moment. I can leave a mark on something. I can choose. Even if your world feels like it's burning, you still get to decide how you breathe inside it.
Yes, and that's radical hope, not bypassing despair, but metabolizing it.
Yeah, letting despair move through you instead of calcifying inside you. It's almost like a tumor, letting it become compost, not concrete.
Exactly. And before we close, I want to offer something steady. Radical hope isn't something you force. It's something you catch yourself in. A small turn toward life, a quiet willingness to inhabit your own presence again.
Our reflection for the week, if you can, take a slow breath and ask yourself, where did I feel the smallest spark today? What is one thing, tiny, almost invisible, that reminded me I'm still alive? Where might a little more space be opening in me? No need to answer out loud. Just notice the place in you that responds.
So before we actually close, this is the final episode of Series 6. And if you've been with us through these conversations, you've likely carried something, hopefully, a question, a softness, a reckoning, a shift, something that wasn't there at the beginning. And over these weeks, we've walked through a landscape that so many people are silently living in, a world on fire inside and out. And each episode became a marker along that terrain. We started with the collective nervous system, why everyone feels so bone deep tired. Then we unpacked safety as a privilege and how access to rest isn't equal. We also talked about achievement, culture hijacking, the healing, and about how numbness can feel like failure when it's actually intelligence. And how responsibility isn't pressure, it's presence. And now we're here, radical hope. The quiet aftermath where something new begins to take shape.
Every episode felt like a different doorway into the same truth. People are not breaking, they're responding, they're adapting, they're surviving conditions they never should have had to manage alone. And the whole point of this series was to remind folks that their reactions make sense.
And to offer something steadier than positivity, context, coherence, and companionship. Because when the world feels unstable, sometimes what we need isn't big inspiration. It's someone saying, here's where you are. I'm here too.
That is so comforting to hear. It's like one of those cues of safety in my body. Makes me happy. As we close this chapter, I want to say this. None of these episodes were about fixing you. They were about witnessing you, your freeze, your fight, your collapse, your spark, without shame. You've been walking with us through some heavy terrain, and you stayed. That matters.
And we're going to spend our next series talking about religious trauma. Gently, thoughtfully, and through, as always, a nervous system lens. And not to tear anything down, but to understand what happens when faith, fear, belonging, and identity become intertwined in ways the body carries long after the mind tries to move on. We'll explore the shame, the conditioning, the loss of self, the grief of leaving, and the quiet work of rebuilding meaning. And we'll talk about what it feels like when intuition was maybe framed as something bad, when obedience replaced agency, when community was conditional, or when your body learned to brace in the name of quote unquote being good. It's not about rejecting origins. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that survived them. We're moving from survival into meaning, from collapse into direction, from coping into creation, and not bypassing the hard, not pretending things are okay, but by exploring what becomes possible when a nervous system begins to trust itself again.
What a mouthful that was.
Oh my God.
Well, we're not going to pretend here that this is going to be easy. We're here with you in the pauses, the unraveling, the quiet rebuilds, sometimes the hysteria, goodness, and the moments when direction hasn't shown itself yet. So buckle up and remember, healing isn't linear, and we're here for the ride.
Thank you for listening today. Take what was helpful, set down what wasn't, and give yourself a little space to land as the episode comes to a close. More grounded conversations, science, and practical nervous system tools are on the way next week. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not therapy, does not provide medical or mental health advice, and does not create any kind of therapeutic relationship. For personalized support, please reach out to a licensed mental health professional in your area or contact your local crisis resources if you're in immediate need.